If your iPhone feels slower than it did last year, it is not your imagination. In 2017, Apple paid $113 million to settle a lawsuit in 33 states. The charge was simple. They pushed a software update to millions of iPhones that deliberately slowed down the processor. They did not ask permission. They did not warn anyone. They called it a feature. 33 attorneys general called it fraud. And the update that triggered that lawsuit? It is still happening. Every single year. In a different form, under a different name, with the same result. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what happens inside your iPhone every time you hit Install Now. The 3 engineering decisions Apple made that guarantee your phone will feel broken within 2 years. And the one setting most people never touch that changes everything. Every September, Apple releases a new iPhone. And every September, they release a new version of iOS designed for that new iPhone. This is not controversial. New hardware gets new software. But here is what they do not advertise. That same software update is also pushed to your 3-year-old iPhone. The one with half the RAM. The one with a processor 2 generations behind. The one with a battery that has already lost 15% of its original capacity. The new iOS is optimized for the new chip. It is not optimized for yours. Your phone downloads it anyway. And within 48 hours, apps take longer to open, animations stutter, and your battery drains 20% faster than it did the day before. You did not drop your phone. You did not break anything. You accepted a software update. That is all it took. The first engineering decision is the processor budget. Every new version of iOS introduces features that demand more processing power. Background app refresh cycles get more complex. Machine learning tasks run locally instead of in the cloud. The camera software processes more data per photo. None of this is accidental. Apple designs iOS for the chip they are about to sell, not the chip you already own. The A17 Pro has the headroom to run iOS 18 without flinching. The A15 does not, but both receive the same update. What this means in practice is that your processor, which handled iOS 16 with room to spare, is now running at 90 to 95% capacity, just keeping the operating system alive. Open 2 apps at once, and the system starts making choices. It kills background processes. It throttles frame rates. It delays animations to free up cycles. Your phone is not broken. It is drowning. But the processor load is only half the trap. What Apple does to your battery is where it becomes a business model. Lithium-ion batteries degrade with every charge cycle. After 500 full cycles, your battery retains roughly 80% of its original capacity. For most people, that is about 18 months of daily use. This is chemistry. It is unavoidable. What is avoidable is what Apple chose to do about it. In 2017, a Geekbench developer named John Poole published data proving that Apple was throttling CPU performance on iPhones with degraded batteries, not by a small margin. Benchmark scores dropped by 40% or more after the update. Apple's explanation was that throttling prevented unexpected shutdowns, and that may be partially true, but they did it silently. No notification, no toggle, no opt-out. You woke up one morning and your phone was slower, and Apple's solution was to let you believe you needed a new one. That is not battery management. That is a purchasing incentive disguised as a software patch. Apple eventually added a battery health menu and a toggle to disable throttling. But the toggle is buried 3 menus deep. It resets after certain updates, and disabling it comes with a warning that your phone may shut down unexpectedly. They gave you a choice, then made one option sound dangerous. The $113 million fine did not change the strategy. It changed the disclosure. But even if your battery were perfect and your processor had infinite headroom, there is a third mechanism working against you that almost nobody talks about. Storage pressure. Every iOS update is larger than the last. iOS 10 required roughly 2 gigabytes of free space to install. iOS 17 needs closer to 8. The operating system itself occupies more storage with each generation. System data, which Apple does not let you clear manually, grows over time as caches, logs, and indexed databases accumulate. On a 64-gigabyte iPhone, which Apple sold as the base model for years, the operating system and its invisible overhead can consume 15 to 20 gigabytes. Add your photos, apps, and messages, and you are left with single-digit free space within a year. When an iPhone runs low on storage, performance collapses. The system cannot write temporary files. App caching fails. Spotlight indexing stalls. Everything slows down, not because the chip is old, but because the software has consumed the space it needs to operate. Apple's solution is not to optimize storage. Their solution is to sell you a phone with more of it. The jump from 128 to 256 gigabytes costs Apple roughly $8 in flash memory. It costs you $100. That is not an upgrade path. That is a margin strategy. So here is the pattern connecting all three. Your processor runs out of headroom because iOS is designed for the new chip. Your battery degrades, and Apple throttles performance without asking. Your storage fills because the operating system grows every year, and system data is not user-clearable. Three vectors, same result. Your phone feels slower, and the fix Apple suggests is a new phone. This is not a conspiracy. This is a product cycle. And the cycle works because the update feels voluntary. Nobody forced you to install iOS 18, except that your apps start requiring it. Your bank requires it for security patches. Your notifications remind you daily until you comply. The update is technically optional, the way renewing your driver's license is technically optional. You can say no, but the entire system is designed to make no progressively more painful. Quick question before I show you what to do about this. Go to Settings, Battery Health on your iPhone right now. What percentage are you at? Drop it in the comments. I am willing to bet that most of you are below 90%. And if you are below 85, you are already being throttled. Check. Then come back. Here is what actually works. First, turn off automatic updates. Go to Settings, General, Software Update, Automatic Updates. Turn off both toggles. This does not mean never update. It means you update on your timeline after the first patch version drops. Every major iOS release ships with bugs. The X.1 version, which usually arrives 4 to 6 weeks later, fixes the worst of them. Let everyone else beta test. You update to 18.1, not 18.0. Second, manage your battery properly. If your battery health is below 80%, you have two options. Either replace the battery, which costs $89 through Apple or $40 through a reputable third party, and your phone will feel like new because the throttling stops. Or disable performance throttling in Settings, Battery Health, and accept the occasional shutdown. Either way, know what is happening to your phone instead of assuming it is time to buy a new one. An $89 battery replacement on a 2-year-old iPhone gives you another 2 years easily. That is $89 versus $1,100 for the new model. Third, reclaim your storage. Go to Settings, General, iPhone Storage. Sort by size. Delete apps you have not opened in 90 days. Offload apps you use rarely but want to keep. Then go to Settings, Safari, Clear History and Website Data. That alone can free 2 to 5 gigabytes of cached junk. For system data that you cannot clear through menus, the most reliable method is still an encrypted backup to a computer, a full erase, and a restore. It takes an hour. It can recover 10 or more gigabytes. Fourth, if you are buying a new iPhone, never buy the base storage. The markup on flash memory is enormous, but the performance cost of low storage over 2 years is worse. 256 gigabytes is the real base model. Apple just does not price it that way. Here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. Your iPhone is not getting slower because it is old. It is getting slower because the software update you were prompted to install was built for a phone that costs $1,199, and you are running it on a phone you bought 3 years ago. The hardware in your hand is remarkable. The A-series chip from even 4 years ago is faster than most Android phones sold today. The build quality is excellent. The camera still takes great photos, but none of that matters if the software is designed to outgrow the hardware on a 12-month cycle. Stop updating on day 1. Replace the battery instead of the phone. Clear the storage the system will not clear for you. Your iPhone is not dying. It is being managed into retirement. Take it off the treadmill. Subscribe, because next week I am covering what IT technicians refuse to buy when they are spending their own money on laptops. The brands that show up on the blacklist will surprise you. That one is worse because they cannot hide behind a software update. The hardware itself is the scam.